kind of being goofy.
So they finally sent you the link.
In the middle of yesterday, yeah. So I don't know if it was. Okay.
Maybe I'll take off my.
Good morning. Please mute yourself if until the meeting starts. Thank you.
I've never done this before.
Good morning, Maurice. Can you hear me? This is Member Brown.
Good morning. I hear you loud and clear. Do you hear me?
Okay, it's 9:30, Liz. We can get started.
Good morning. Sorry about that, Chairwoman. Good morning. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this Monday, January 23rd. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976. Notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on our particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Can you go ahead and call the roll, please?
Thank you. I will do. Ms. Roca.
Present.
Ms. Holzer.
Present.
Ms. Brown.
Present.
Ms. Faith will be absent this morning. Chairwoman Brett, and then
Yeah.
Ms. Brett.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum with 4.
All right. Before we go to postponements, just want everyone to know that we have a 4-member board this morning. So if the vote goes 2-2, your case will go nowhere. So you are allowed, once your case is called, to ask for postponement if you feel that's necessary. Okay, go ahead, Liz.
Thank you. We do have one postponement request this morning. It came in from a Councilman Conwell. This is regarding 22-233 at 9119 Kempton Avenue. Bill Page, owner, proposed to establish use as a residential facility, family home for a maximum of 5 residents. The councilman has asked for more time to meet with the appellant and the community.
Okay. Did he say how long you need it?
Actually, I didn't speak with him directly. Usually we give about 30 days. It's up to you, Madam Chair. 30 days would be February 27th, or March 6th, of course, would be the next week.
Give him March 6th, just in case. Need a little bit of time to put that meeting together.
And one more thing, Madam Chair, if we could just confirm whether or not the applicant is here. I don't know if I see Bill Page. Who was it? Kimberly Carter. Is Kimberly Carter on the line? Okay, she must have spoken with the council person. All right, Madam Chair, March 6th will be the new date for calendar number 22-233 regarding 9119 Kempton Avenue. And that's it for postponements and withdrawals. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We can go to our next case. Unless are there any council people on? I guess I need to ask that.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
you doing?
We
Good
have,
morning, this is Councilwoman Gray, Ward 4.
Okay, can we go to, is this the councilwoman's case up here, Maurice?
yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, Ms. Holzer, we'll start with this one.
Sounds good. Good morning, everyone. We're starting with calendar number 22-232. This is at 12503 Kinsman Avenue. Davian King LLC proposes to establish use as a carryout restaurant in a B1 family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address, please. Councilwoman, we need you to swear in as well.
Okay. Councilwoman Gray, Deborah Gray of Ward 4. I don't know which address to state.
City Hall is fine.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You can give your City Hall address.
Okay, 601 Lakeside Avenue, Cleveland, 44115.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else here for this case, please swear in. Actually, caller number 2, we need you to mute if you're not.
Please mute yourself. Yes. My goodness.
They're muted.
Okay. Liz, have you heard from the appellants?
I have not. Let me double check, make sure we didn't have any emails from her this morning. I didn't see any initially when I logged in. Hold on one moment. I don't see Mr. Eberhart on here. Or anybody representing Davian King. And no, I don't have any emails or phone calls from them this morning. If you'd like, I could reach out. Is the councilwoman considering requesting a postponement today?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, we'll hold off to the end of the meeting, see if they show up or not. But we'll keep the councilwoman's postponement in our back pocket. So if they don't show up, we'll grant you the postponement. Councilwoman, we'll let you know what date. So we'll just wait till the end to see if they show up or not.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everyone have a good day.
One question to the councilwoman, if I may. Has she talked to the applicant?
Yes, I have spoken with them, and they supposed to have been on this Zoom meeting today in order for any decision to be made.
Okay. All right. So then we should wait for them. Thanks.
Okay, any other council people, Maurice?
Oh, I do see Councilman Griffin.
Okay, we'll go to his case.
So let's see, his is, I believe, Chestnut Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 1 second. And there we go.
Our next case is calendar number 22-229. This is at 2283 Chestnut Hills Drive. Amar Krishnaswamy et al. Proposes to erect a 5,274 square foot 2-story frame single-family residence with 3-bay attached garage in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances, as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address, please.
I do, Blaine Griffin, 601 Lakeside.
I do, Brian Kaufman, 14394 Detroit Avenue.
I do, Amar Krishnaswamy, currently 2154 West 6th Street, Cleveland, 44113.
I do, Rupal Malani, 2154 West 6th Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44113.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. The most pertinent information is, Madam Chair, that in October of last year, a permit was issued to demolish a one-story frame single-family dwelling and to remove all debris from the site. There are no variances on file and nothing more of note in the more recent history. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the location and screening requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay, who's going to be the spokesperson for this case?
I will, Brian Kaufman. I'm an architect working with Amr and Rupel on their home.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, great. So, you know, we got to a point we had presented to HDRS and we're submitting for permit when it came back in the zoning review. Clearly that they were concerned about the front attached garage. Really, when we approached the project, the kind of the history of the lot is it's basically two parcels separated right down the middle. One side of the property, I guess, to the east is, and off of Chestnut Hills is property for Cleveland Heights, and then the adjacent property to the west is the Cleveland property, which was where we were looking to locate our home. You can see on the this aerial here showing the existing house and kind of the orientation and the arrangement of the existing house. The garage was pulled up towards the front as well. You can also see kind of where the drive enters, which makes a lot of sense. If you kind of drive around the whole property and going, heading down Martin Luther King and wrapping kind of around the corner there as you turn on to Chestnut, the grade is really low there. It's not until you really get onto Chestnut where the grade is kind of up at a level where you can access the site. And clearly where they put the driveway before made the most sense, because as you get closer to the intersection, you know, it obviously becomes more of a nuisance and it's more dangerous getting out. Plus the grade is up a little ways there too. When, you know, our initial thing was really trying to set the house back for privacy as well. It's pretty well wooded, has pretty good vegetation all the way around. So we like that about the lot, that once you got back there, it was private. We do have the intentions on even along the drive to put in some added vegetation and trees. We wanted to keep the garage kind of on the northern end of the property. A lot of it was for natural light. As you can see kind of along Martin Luther King and to the south side, we were trying to get the main kind of living space and kitchen and all that oriented to the south to really take advantage of natural light, and then create basically the living room is kind of meant to be flowing through from the front of the property to the east to get nice morning light.
Yeah.
And then to the rear of the lot and kind of courtyard space, a little bit more intimate. So we really like the idea of coming up the drive, having the garage located where it is, and then really the rest of the house kind of serves as the rest of the property is kind of the backyard, and we're trying to use, you know, the lot that we're not building on Cleveland Heights, still have that be a nice piece of yard for them so the kids can go out and play in the morning and that. Even when we were driving down Chestnut Hills, there are a lot of other examples of garages being located kind of on the front portion of the lot, and you see a lot of examples of that driving down Chestnut. So that was, you know, kind of our approach and what we were trying to do with what we're doing with our design, and then also, you know, kind of the practical difficulty, I would say, has a lot to do with the way Martin Luther King wraps around. We don't want to obviously create a drive off of Martin Luther King. I think that would be, you know, pretty dangerous to do that. Really, the location of it's the best. And then having the drive in the garage, obviously close to the drive there, and allowing the rest of the property to really open up, you know, was our main goal there. And we're here to get started. We got a construction schedule and all that set, and we're really ready to kind of start getting a hole in the ground and get building if we can this winter, if the weather continues to hold out, but we'll see. So
Doesn't look like it
Thanks
this
so much,
week.
Brian. I'm sorry to interrupt. If I could just
Who's
dovetail
talking
to,
here?
oh, I'm sorry about that. I'll raise my hand. This is Amar Krishnaswamy,
Okay.
the property owner. If I could just dovetail to Brian's comments there, just to make it clear, the current location of the garage is also almost exactly where the garage was on the original property that was demolished a few months back. As far as the aesthetics are concerned, to be honest, the prior structure, the garage was angled almost looking towards the street to a certain degree, so you would see the garage doors from the street. The current plan, that will not be the case. The garage doors actually will not really be seen from the street. They'll be facing sideways. And in fact, what you'll see from the street is pretty much similar surfacing as the rest of the home. So hopefully should not necessarily be an aesthetic issue in that regard either.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Malani, did you have anything you want to add?
No, thank you.
All right. Councilman?
I support the project. Just wanted to get on to lend my support. I'm very familiar with this area, very esteemed area of our city, and I believe that this design complies with the architectural context of the area.
All right. Thank you. Maurice?
Yes, Maurice Rowland, City Planning. As we were discussing this with Rick Riccardi, the zoning administrator, we came to the decision that if there were ever a justification for practical difficulty, having your property split in between two different municipalities has to be the top of the list.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful piece of property, great views. I wouldn't want the driveway located anywhere else on this property. It's perfect where it was, and they've done a good job of turning the garage. So just as the applicant just stated, you will not see the garage doors from the street at all. And just as another note, we are actually removing that piece of the code that requires the 9 feet of active use. We are actively considering removing that. So there would be no reason to not grant this variance. We're in full support. Just out of curiosity, do I hear that the applicants are moving from downtown?
We are
From Tremont.
in Tremont, and in all honesty, very sad to leave Tremont, but very excited for the new neighborhood as well.
Well, we're glad you stayed in the city of Cleveland.
Yep, exactly.
Likewise.
Okay.
That
Good luck.
was the point.
All right. Kudos to you. All right. I'll open up to the board. Any questions? Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, having heard testimony from the architect and the councilman, as well as the owners, I move approval of calendar 22-229 in support of the new single-family home being constructed on Chestnut Hills.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Board Member Roca seconds.
Ms. Roca with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-229 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we will send the appellant a letter.
all right, thank you for your time.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
everyone's time and
Thank you.
thoughts.
Good luck with
Thank you.
everything.
Good
Thank
luck.
you
All
so
right, thank
much.
you.
On Kinsman Avenue.
Mhm.
They are not going to be able to make it to the hearing this morning, and they have no objection to the postponement.
Okay, great. We'll give them 30 days. So what was that, the 27th one?
Yeah, the 27th.
Okay.
Is Councilwoman still on the phone or no?
I don't see her, so just make sure you send her a notice about it.
Will do. Thank you. February 27th. Okay, so that means calendar number 22-232 regarding 12503 Kinsman Avenue has been postponed. There will be no testimony on it this morning. The new date is February 27th. If you received a paper copy letter, it'll be sent out to you again in the mail. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next case.
Sorry about that. We have calendar number 22-227. This is at 12702 Triscuit Avenue. Adrian Ortega, owner, proposes to establish use as a motor vehicle repair garage / auto body shop in a B3 semi-industry district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances, as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, say I do, state your name and your address, please.
I do. In Claudia Castillo, representing or on behalf of Pies Property, Adrian Ortega, owner. And
And we can't hear you.
oh, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Apologies for that. Claudia Castillo, for Castillo Enterprises, Assistant Pies Property, Adrian Ortega, the owner, and the tenant, my out of blessings. We're here on behalf of, here's the tenant, and I'm on behalf of Adrian Ortega.
Yeah, we still can't hear you that well. You either need to speak up or right into the microphone.
I'm sorry, apologizing about that. The volume is kind of low. My address is 6230 Stump Road in Parma Heights, Ohio, 44130. Can you hear me better?
Yes. And what's your name again?
Claudia Castillo.
Melissa Miller, Bel Air Pure, Melissa Miller, Jefferson Puritas West Park Development Corporation. And my address is 14703 Puritas Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44135.
Is the prospective tenant going to testify? If so, they also need to be sworn in.
Client, the tenant is a non-English speaker. Will it be okay if I translate on his behalf?
That's fine. Is he present with you?
Right here.
Oh, that's him. Okay, so he can't speak English. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1946, a permit was issued to erect an office and warehouse. 1949, a permit was issued to erect an addition to the building for storage. 1982, there was a pole sign erected on the site. There are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the minimum distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Castillo. Tell us what the appellant would like to do.
We'd like to move forward to allow us to utilize the building and utilize the area for a.
Yeah, we can't hear you again. Like,
Apologizing about that. The tenant and the future owner would like to utilize the area for hair shop and body shop. Just wanted to make you aware that the actual work, the actual job for the painting will be done towards the back of the building, which have no nuisance on the neighbors, and should not be an inconvenience to the neighbors.
Okay, so tell us about the repair shop. Like, what kind of repairs will be going on in the shop? What will the hours and days of operation be? That kind of stuff.
Monday to Friday from 9 to 5 are the tentative hours requested by the tenant. And it's just basically straight doing body work and some painting on automobiles.
So any kind of mechanical repair, like oil changes or?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so just body work.
Have any objection to the variance request and support it. There are other on Triscuit in the same situation, in a semi-industrial right across the street from residential that have not caused a problem. It has been semi-industrial, since 1929. So we do support it with the caveat that, like all the other body shops and auto repair places on Triscuit, all the vehicles are kept on the property and all the vehicles are kept on hard surfaces on the property. There cannot be any parking in the grassy area in the front. There cannot be putting vehicles on residential streets for any extended period of time, except to just change out one vehicle for another. They cannot take up the parking on the residential streets.
All right, thank you, Ms. Miller. Maurice.
Madam Chair, Maurice Rowland, City Planning. Yes, I have to agree with Ms. Miller on pretty much everything she stated. I'm very familiar with this stretch of Triscuit. As a matter of fact, the mechanic that I used to use is right down the street. So I do know that this stretch of Triscuit has taken on that character. So this is completely consistent with what's actually happening. And because we have for a number of factors, there's a very wide right-of-way there on Triscuit in that section. So there is a substantial, distance from these uses versus the residents on the other side of the street. Another positive about this location is that there is very limited area for parking out in front of the building, which is good because I think most of the cars will have to be kept either inside or behind the building and won't disrupt the neighborhood. And I agree with Ms. Miller's comments about not parking on the grassy area in the front or on the side streets, especially for cars that are in need of repair. So we support this variance.
Great, thank you. Ms. Castillo, will the appellant agree to only park vehicles on the inside and not on the residential streets?
I was just translating to him what the rulings was saying. So yeah, he's in agreement.
Okay, great. All right, board, any questions or comments?
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Maurice, can you put the aerial up
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that I can see the proximity to the residential? Well, maybe it doesn't show on this. I guess maybe.
No, it's all right across the street where it says Triscuit Road. That's all residential. Up to, I think, a street or two diagonally across, then we actually approved a storage facility for one of these other uses on the other side, like a pole barn kind of thing. So there's already some intrusion into the other side of Triscuit. But for the most part, go ahead.
What's behind the building?
The interstate.
Interstate, okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I have no further questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, hearing no other, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval of calendar 22-227, permitting the use of auto body repair on Triscuit Avenue, having heard support from the community organization and city planning, and the operator having committed to maintain all vehicles within the property lines inside and not on grassy areas in front of the property or on residential streets surrounding. This is a use that's consistent with other uses on Triscuit Avenue. And I support the request and ask and move that the board also support the request.
Thank you. We'll just add a friendly amendment that the hours of operation will be Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. All right, can I have a second, please?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Ms. Holzer with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 22-227 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and then we will send the appellant a letter.
You guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Next case.
Our next case is calendar number 22-231. This is at 2260 Thurman Avenue. Vinovine LLC owner proposes to erect a one-story frame detached reverse gable pole barn garage in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances, as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. And there is also a note that a parcel consolidation is required. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. Paul Began, Began Architectural Design, 15703 Madison.
John Monroe, 1001 Lakeside Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44114.
I do. Donna Gregonis with Tremont West Development Corporation, 2406 Professor Avenue in Cleveland.
I do. Dante Bacuzzi, Dante Restaurant, 2247 Professor Avenue.
Anyone else for this case? Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 1961, it was changed to two-family residential. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1975, a permit was issued to convert from 4-dwelling to 2-dwelling unit. There are no variances on file. And in the more recent history, we found that in 2019, a permit was issued to demolish a 1-story frame single-family dwelling from the site. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the minimum distance and parking requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. I'm assuming, Mr. Began, you're the spokesperson?
No, I'm
Miss-
sorry. I am Dante Bacuzzi, the owner.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Mr. Bacuzzi.
Actually, Dante,
Yes.
just to jump in, my name is John Monroe. I'm with the law firm of Manser Gavin. Represent the appellant, Vinovine LLC, and its authorized representative, Dante Bocuzzi. And we're also here today with the architect, Paul Began. As the staff mentioned, there's actually seeking 3 area variances for a new garage on the property located at 226 Thurman Avenue, which is parcel number 00416-111. The first is the code requires garages on the rear half of the lot. In this particular situation, as you'll see, the appellant owns or controls the adjacent property. Secondly, the second variance that he's seeking is a minimum distance from the adjacent property lines. There's actually 18 inches on the one side, and the appellant owns or controls the property on the other side of the proposed garage. Finally, there's a area variance requested for the distance to the adjacent property. The code requires 10 feet. And as the appellant will show, there's actually 8 feet 6 inches right now. So Dante can explain his significant investments in several properties around the subject property and explain the practical difficulty in strict compliance with the codified ordinances. Dante?
Good morning. Sorry, I'm trying to get the camera thing working, but I am here. Through the years, in 2010, I opened the Dante restaurant located right there on Professor Avenue. That was like $1 million investment. And then 3-4 years later, we opened up the building next door. We purchased that. That brought our investment to about $3 million. And then after COVID and, feeding 1,000 people every Sunday just to, help our community, we purchased the houses in the back on Thurman. And if you, in the diagram number 3 area, there's the rental house, which is to the left of the garage, and then the garage area was another house there, which we had to tear down because it wasn't usable at all. And we turned that into a parking lot. And then recently in the past few years, 2021, we purchased the other rental house, which is on the corner of Thurman and Literary. And so bringing my investment in this great area of Tremont that I love, close to $5 million. And, the restaurant business is growing and expanding. And the main purpose of this garage is to accommodate that growth, for storage. We bought some catering vehicles just to kind of house everything, protect everything. And then last year we repaved all the parking lots. We replaced and fixed all the fencing for security. And, once again, just to improve the overall feel and look of the area. I think as Mr. Monroe explained, the garage is turned the opposite direction because all the entrance happens through Professor Avenue. And that way you drive all the way to the back. All the storage, everything is out of the way, out of sight on the backside there. And all the customers and valet and all that stuff happens in the front next to the buildings. And I did physically do measuring of the variances if we look at the different pictures there. The garage next to the fence, the lot that I do not own, that's about, as you said, 30 inches. And then the garage next to the house, and this is all regarding the variances. The garage next to the house is 8.5 feet. And I also measured distances between my rental house on the corner of Thurman and Literary next to one of my neighbor's house. And that distance is actually only 6 feet. So the garage to the house would, it's actually more than what's typically found in the neighborhood. And even the same thing for my restaurants. In between Dante restaurant and Dante next door, it's about the same thing, about 8 feet. So it's pretty much typical of everything else that's happening in the neighborhood there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gregonis.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Good morning. So we, of course, love Dante Boccuzzi's investments, and there's lots of investment planned on Professor Avenue here in the next calendar year, in addition to other restaurants that I think would be a complement to his business. But this is the first time we're saying this, and I don't know that that the community has seen this. And I know Mr. Began is should be pretty clear on what the community process is here. And unfortunately, this hasn't been reviewed by the community process, and it hasn't gone to Economic Development Committee. It hasn't even gone to the Block Club, from my understanding. And I'm apologizing that I'm coming to the meeting saying this, because we do love all the investment, and I don't want to take away from that, but it's my job to let you know that our community process has not been met with this. And that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. City planning?
Yeah, Maurice Rowland, City Planning. Again, I have to echo some of Donna Gergonis's comments. You know, we appreciate all the investment in the neighborhood. I would ask how, with all this investment improvement that's going on, how a garage got constructed without permits. I guess is my first question. I just don't understand how that can happen in a scenario like this. I guess my biggest concern about this garage would be the distance between the 8'4" distance between the adjacent house. Had this come before it was constructed, we probably would have recommended that you maintain the 10 feet next to the house. We rarely grant those variances for health and safety reasons, just as it states in the code, for light and ventilation, as well as anything untoward happening. For example, a fire or something in the garage would be awfully close to the adjacent residential unit.
Yeah, I can say that on my part. I mean, there was miscommunication with the contractors, and I kind of wasn't really following it as closely as I should have been. And inevitably, it's my fault. I mean, I take the blame for the situation here, and I just want to do whatever it takes to get it properly through the proper channels, or whatever it needs to be done to make it proper. As far as the garage itself, the storage unit, it's a basic storage unit. There's only electricity in there. There's no dwelling. There's no occupancy. Just basically storage, tables, chairs, and a vehicle pulling in and out, for catering and stuff like that.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just to address a couple of the issues, obviously the permitting, Mr. Boccuzzi has clearly come to the building department, submitted all the plans as may be required, and that's what has triggered this process. So we're going through all of that process to ultimately hopefully end up with the certificate of occupancy. As to the property, the adjacent property at 2254 Thurman, the rental property that Mr. Rowland's referred to, although that is owned by a different individual, Mr. has a relationship in that ownership. And if it would help the board to grant this variance request as part of the condition of approval, the property owner would agree to obtain a maintenance variance for an appropriate, a maintenance easement for maintaining that of the property. So if there's ever any future where the ownership is not shared, that would be of record and would give the board comfort. The second, as far as the distance between the garage and the house, this is not a fire code issue. If it was, it would have been written up in the notice of non-compliance. So that issue, I don't think, is a driving issue in this appeal. Again, if the board would see more comfort in getting an easement from that property owner, we can certainly get that. But as everyone knows, many of the houses in Tremont are very close to each other, often less than 8'6". And so, we think that this is pretty consistent with the other homes in the area. And quite frankly, it's a little bit underdeveloped in light of the other developments in this area. As the board knows, many of these lots are getting built with 2 homes now, 40 by 80 foot lot. In this situation, maintaining some parking, which supports a good Cleveland business for over 13 years, I think is important. Then finally, as Mr. Rulins put up on the screen briefly, the property owner to the south, the Styrt, S-T-Y-R-T, last name, I believe she indicated that she has no objection to the variance. And as Dante stated, we don't believe the variance is as much as suggested by the notice of noncompliance. We think there's actually 30 inches between the property line and the garage. And why that's important is it gives you that area to put up a ladder, to put the siding on, to maintain the exterior, which I know is a big concern for city planning staff, is that, that the property owners be able to maintain the exterior of the premises without going to the neighbors and asking for forgiveness or for permission to go on their property. In this case, the property owner can do that maintenance, put it on, do what they need to do to maintain that side of the property. Finally, just regarding the block club, if the board would feel more comfortable that we go through that process, I'm not sure why it wasn't routed there if that's the requirement on the code, but the applicant would certainly be willing to participate in that process if that would help the board consider this variance request. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
And just for the, just for the record, that's not a requirement to go through the community part. We like when that happens and we prefer that, but that is not a requirement. So I just wanted to make sure that was on the record. Go ahead, Maurice.
Madam Chair, yeah, just to respond to Mr. Monroe, I actually like the idea of either some kind of a maintenance agreement or even, I think even a letter of support from the adjacent homeowner, on the side that has the 8'4". I think that would be a reasonable accommodation to recommend approval on this variance. That is my major concern. If there is 30 inches, in fact, on the other side that was either not caught properly at Building and Housing, looking at this diagram now on the left-hand side, if there actually is 30 inches, that's fantastic. Then that would actually eliminate the need for that one variance. So we would recommend approval if we could get the support or a maintenance agreement with or both of the adjacent property owner. I don't know what the address is, but on the right-hand side of this drawing.
Yeah, 2254 Thurman.
And we did not hear anything. We didn't get a response from 2254 Thurman, so we have no idea. What their opinion is.
Can I speak on that? So the Vino Van LLC is the company that I am part.
Can you just announce who you are before you start talking for the record?
I'm sorry. My name is Dante, again, the owner of the restaurant, and Dante Bocuzzi. So the company that owns all these properties, Vino Van LLC, which owns the house adjacent to the garage, that I'm 50% owner in that company, and the other person is Dr. Abba, who's 50% owner as well. And the only reason why it comes up in his name was because of the loan scenario and everything. But it was a purchase that we did together, and everything is handled together as a company. But I could easily get his support, and there's no issue in any type of maintenance agreement. And there's also a lease in place as far as that lot itself and the restaurant paying rent on that lot for all the parking and that whole thing as well. So these are all been purchases that were calculated and to accommodate our growth and to bring in more income to, you know, to keep the growth going. And we could certainly provide any documents necessary.
Just one additional question then. Were you planning on breaking the two lots? You know, were you planning on doing a consolidation of the two parcels, or are you just going to leave that as it is?
I mean, our intention is to leave it as it is. Eventually, we possibly might remove that rental house and construct something in the parking lot next to it and those two lots together. But it's all, you know, as our business grows and as things keep happening, then, you know, we make these decisions. But, and even, you know, other further construction, you know, whatever makes sense for us. But it wasn't, as I said, it was my fault in the whole process here. But we would certainly do it properly in the future.
Madam Chair, I was just going to say, just going through the variances, number one, with it being on the rear half of the lot, I guess it's your interpretation, you know, being it has a Thurman address, although it really is, because of the way they've added the fence on Thurman, it really is, you know, a professor address, effectively. So it is on the rear half of the lot if you look at it from that perspective. So I think that's fine for the variance number one. Number two, they're saying that they don't even need that variance because it's more than 18 inches. So we may only be looking at number three, and so that I would support it under, you know, with just getting that letter of support from the other owner of that adjacent house.
All right, great. Mr. Monroe, you needed to add something else?
Yes, Madam Chair. For the second variance, I think we actually need it on the south side, but what I would recommend would be what I think would be an appropriate condition of the approval of these variances would be to, within 3 months of the granting of the variance, that the property owner obtain and record a maintenance easement from the adjacent property owner located at 2254 Thurman. I think that would be an appropriate condition and acceptable to the applicant. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, I will open it up for the board for any questions.
Madam Chair, the only question that I had, the Attorney Monroe addressed it, but I was interested in confirmation from Building and Housing is the need for any fire rating for the construction that is so close to adjacent properties. Is Rick Riccardi or anyone on the?
We have Chuck Akoy sitting in for Rick Riccardi this morning.
And you know, this is Paul Began. Let me speak to that briefly. Actually, the rating of any walls is not a zoning issue. It is a building code issue. So after Board of Zoning Appeals, it will advance through plans review, and any issues of fire rating will come up then.
That's a fair comment, but you've built it, so that's why I'm also asking.
I suppose if there is a notice of noncompliance issued for building code issues, the applicant would have two options at that point, which would be to make it compliant or to seek a variance, I guess, from BBS and BA, if that's the route. But I'm not sure that that is going to be necessary, but I guess we'll see at the next step. And yes, if the plans were reviewed prior to construction, it would have been caught prior to construction.
Thank you for your response.
Okay, any other questions, board?
Madam Chair, I just want to confirm we're adding a condition of a maintenance easement. Is that what I heard?
if we choose to approve this,
If we
yes.
choose to approve, yes, okay. I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, Board Member Roca moves to approve calendar number 2020, excuse me, 22-231. Subject to the condition that the property owner appellant obtain a maintenance easement for the adjoining property within, I believe, 3 months of the conditional approval, and that is recorded properly. And BZA is also we receive the final notice of that, and I move to approve.
Thank you. And I'll add a friendly amendment that although we won't make it a requirement, but but Mr. Bokuzi, please make sure that you reach out to the community and let them know that this is what has been done already, actually. So work with Ms. Gorgonis to meet with the Block Club just to let them know what your plans are.
Okay.
So with that, all right, thank you. And so with that, I ask for a second.
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just for clarity, we are not holding this ratification, or with just putting the language in there that the condition is such that they will create and record this maintenance agreement, or will we hold it until we receive copy of this maintenance agreement?
Well, if we're giving them 3 months, no, we're not gonna make it a requirement, but it'll be a condition in that we receive it once it's done.
All right, I could do that. All right, Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar number 22-231 is granted conditionally. We'll ratify it next week, and then we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye,
luck.
Bob.
Number 22-23 Avenue. Triban Investment LLC owner proposes to renovate and change use to a bar, parenthetically a speakeasy, lounge with live entertainment and amusement use. Non-specified retail uses and dwelling unit are also proposed. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, say I do, state your name and your address, please.
I do. Zachariah Cooper, 1463 Lindazzo Avenue.
I do. Katalin Tomaszek, 1101 Auburn Avenue, Cleveland.
I do. Tim Clark, Sycamore Architects, 1101 Auburn Avenue.
I do. Nate Law, 3308 Lorraine Avenue.
David Ellison, 3118 Carroll Avenue.
Okay. Anyone else? Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 1996, it was changed to local retail and pedestrian retail overlay district. In our records administration office, we found in 1933, a permit was issued for alterations to a funeral parlor. There is 1 variance on file in calendar 08-211. This board denied a variance to construct an addition to an existing funeral home to add a crematorium. And then in the more recent history, we didn't find anything of note that was relevant. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I believe we do have one other person here that's sitting in our office that would like, that may like to speak. Ms. Kumar? Click *6 if you're on your phone to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Okay, my name is Ruby Kumar, and I live at 2036 West 38th Street.
She needs to be sworn in, though.
Okay. Ms. Kumar, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, say I do. And state your name and address again for the record.
Okay, my name is Ruby Kumar. I live at 2036 West 38th Street.
And just say I do.
And I do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the parking requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you. Who will be the spokesperson for this case?
That is me, Zach. My name is Zach Cooper. I am the purchasing owner of 3929 Lorraine Avenue. I'd like to start by thanking you all for your time and consideration this morning. In addition to the owner of the building, I will also be the owner and operator of the business, Sartorial, that will be the primary occupant of this building. I'd like to start by noting in the description at the beginning, it was described as a bar. However, that is not the primary descriptor that I would use for the business that I am opening here. The primary business that will occupy this building is actually a retail space. That is the bread and butter of what we will be doing here. We're really excited to bring some retail options, not only to this neighborhood, but to the greater Cleveland area in general. I think when you look at Cleveland, and again, particularly Ohio City, we've got some pretty incredible entertainment options, but there is a void in the retail space. So we're looking to fill that gap and offer, a daily essentials to residents in the community who need a pair of jeans, socks, tennis shoes, or sweater, whatever it may be. But in addition to that, we're excited to bring a new take on entertainment for the wedding party market. Essentially, one of the things we will specialize in addition to your everyday retail, will be suiting garments. So for folks who work in and around the greater Cleveland area, obviously that will be an asset for them as well. But one of the primary markets we're targeting is the wedding suit market. So with regards to the quote unquote bar space that we'd like to offer, as they noted there, it is a speakeasy style where we'll have some kind of hidden surprises that will create some excitement, hopefully, for residents and consumers. But the bar space will act more as an entertainment area for groomsmen parties that are coming in to be fitted for their suits. So we do not plan to operate with what would be considered traditional bar hours, where bars are typically open till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, something along those lines. We're looking to operate more so within business hours that would be something like noon to 8 p.m. or something of those lines. We want to create more of a social lounge type environment where people want to come in and hang out and shop, or perhaps have a pre-dinner cocktail or a post-dinner cocktail. But we are not looking to be a place where people just come and only drink and do things of that nature. So so that briefly describes the business concept. The other thing I would like to note is just that up to this point, you know, we have gone through the neighborhood Ohio City Historic Design Review. We've gone through Landmark Commission. We've gone through city planning. We have worked very closely for an extended period now with Ohio City Inc. We have been active on Co-Urbanize to get feedback from members of the community who may not be able to attend local meetings. We've also attended and presented at local meetings. In every one of those steps, we've tried to be really open to any recommendations or requirements and adjust our plans based on those so that we can create the best asset possible to the community and to the city itself. And so, you know, we really are trying to take all those things into consideration and hope that that is acknowledged as we try to push forward and get to the exciting and the fun part of actually bringing this business to life and bringing this building back to life in a neighborhood that's obviously already an incredible neighborhood, but has had this vacant building for over 10 years, not only as an eyesore, but as a distressed property and homeless issues and things that have occurred there. So I believe that is all for now. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you're saying that your hours of operation would be like noon to 8. What days would you be open?
We would probably be open Tuesday through Sunday, I would imagine. And because we are doing suiting, I would like to note that we will offer the opportunity for
Private appointments,
and that could be done around those hours potentially. But in terms of daily operation, we would be open on weekends because with the wedding market, obviously that will be a prime time for us. But we'll probably try to take one day, a Monday or something, where we can recoup and get things back in order.
All right, thank you. I'm just going to call on people in order as they chimed in. So, Ms. Tomacek, did you want to add something?
I'm happy to answer any questions if they come up regarding the site plan or the architecture. I'm the architect on the project, but right now I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Clark, anything you want to add?
Nope, I'm the architect as well with Cataline. I would just like to, one comment there on the site plan itself. The remaining parcel that's been left by the subdivision previously done by the apartment complex to the west has left the site plan very much limited in the capacity of any parking that can take place, and the overlay district itself significantly reduces the allowance of parking as well. So as much as we would love to provide the parking necessary for the use, it's technically infeasible.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ellison.
Yes, thank you. I own and operate a business at the corner of 41st and Lorraine, about 135 feet from this property. And I'd like to request that you deny the parking variance. And while I don't think anyone in the neighborhood is opposed to a men's clothing store, we are concerned about a liquor license that could possibly transfer to another owner if this business doesn't succeed. And it's our understanding that the variance runs with the land from successor in interest to successor in interest and does not just grant the permission to this particular applicant. I'd also like to refer to section 329.03, which not only requires the applicant to approve the 3 conditions upon which you make your decision, but you, the board, need to determine in each of the 3 conditions how those conditions have been met. And also to cite section 329.04, which limits your ability to grant parking variances without determining that there's a there would be no serious adverse effect to the traffic or the neighborhood. And I had submitted in my written testimony photographs of automobile accidents where where I think that the traffic is a problem. I know that I can identify or that I have encountered several times when my parking lot that I was required to create when I renovated this building has been used by people who don't have enough parking at the apartment building that's in between this building and my business, and the other bars in the neighborhood, and that it is a nuisance to have the lack of parking taken care of on site for each one of these businesses. I understand that it would mean that the whole neighborhood would be a parking lot, but at this point, since there have been so many variances already granted for parking, there is a shortage when things are in operation. I'm also concerned about the area, the use variance, because the city planning staff, as far as I understand, and maybe Maurice Ruins can speak to this, has submitted language that would allow amusement and entertainment uses in this local retail district. And in addition to the restrictions on the use in a local retail district, there's a group of limitations on the spatial distance between these uses and residential use, and specifically a daycare center. And I think that that needs to be part of the of your thinking as well. And I was trying to find the citation of that. That's 347.12 parentheses A parentheses 1, where it limits the proximity of amusement and entertainment use to the residential uses and daycare, which this is clearly within that area. I think it poses other problems. This whole revisiting this question of whether the amusement and entertainment use is allowed in a local retail district, because these local retail districts tend to back up immediately to residential districts. And we're going to have this separation problem in almost every case if these amusement and entertainment uses are allowed in the local retail district up and down Lorraine Avenue. And if I could cite the other provisions that apply to granting use variances, I will.
No, we're fine, Mr. Ellison. We're the Board of Zoning Appeals, so we know those. So thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to add about the use or parking?
Well, I've discussed this with some of my neighbors nearby, and I believe that they're not in support of this. And while my property is buffered a little bit from the use of the property by that big apartment building, their property isn't, and I would lend my support to my neighbors who also have concerns about this. Not so much the men's clothing store, but the potential of it becoming a nuisance, especially a bad influence on children playing in the yard at the daycare center and that kind of thing, having, young fellows drinking and having a good time. I think they should have a good time, but maybe not right next to a daycare center. But that would be it. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Kumar? Liz, you are helping her?
Yes. Yes, okay. Yes, I totally agree that that funeral home will be a problem, because it's kind of adjacent in my backyard also. And I see where they could even have like a patio. And I was really confused because first he started off with clothing and and then wind up with a bridal and I think it's what it's really gonna be is a bar.
There's two things we can either replace them because those not.
Okay, thank you. All right, I see Chuck has his hand up.
Yeah, correct, the presentation of the last person before the last person said that entertainment is permitted in local retail. That's not true. The code is clear. If I heard him well, the code is very clear that entertainment is not permitted in local retail, but it was permitted in general business district.
Thank you. I see Councilman McCormick has joined us, so if he wants to testify, Ms. Brown, can you swear him in, please?
Yes. Councilman McCormick, do you swear or affirm that your testimony is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, say I do, state your name and your address, please.
Thank you. I do. Kerry McCormack, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Okay, go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be very brief. I'm just coming on to speak in support of the variances requested at this address. Again, this will be a mixed-use new business to the city of Cleveland, which is combined with retail and other amenities, as already been described. As is the condition on Lorraine Avenue, this is a historic corridor, and with most of the buildings, there are no adjacent parking lots, which is the urban form that has been in place for hundreds of years in this area. So again, I understand Ohio City and others have worked with neighboring businesses on parking solutions. Obviously we want to continue doing that, but this is a blighted, vacant building on a busy commercial corridor in our neighborhood, and it is blighted. And quite frankly, the neighbors around it have called to my office to complain about the illicit activity in and around the building. So once again, support a positive, active use at this building. I think this is an innovative business. And on our historic commercial corridors, we will not permit, buildings to be demolished to create parking lots or things like that. So once again, I support this, positive active use going in on one of our, commercial corridors into a vacant, blighted building that's been vacant for a year. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Lowell from Ohio City.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. I just wanted to give some additional context about this site. So I believe Mr. Cooper has actually providing 4 parking spaces. I know that's not up to the current code, but it is in a pedestrian retail overlay district. So he is still providing some parking. And really what I'm here to say is just that it's, this project's really been through a robust community process. It came to the Ohio City community meeting in November, which we provide transportation, we live stream it, we record it so people can watch it afterwards. And it's also been posted to Corbinize, which is a community engagement site that we use for projects like this. And I certainly understand the concerns of the neighborhood, but there's been a lot of support for this project posted online and at the community meeting. So I just wanted to add that in. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cooper, did you want to add anything or address any of the neighbors' issues?
Just one last remark, if I could. Again, to kind of echo what Nate just mentioned, I respect and understand where some of the neighbors are coming from. However, in the process we have experienced, we have received a lot of support from some of the other neighbors, and specifically with regard to the daycare center that he mentioned. I actually went over to the property and I spoke with the owner of that, Mr. Mark Pestek, and he obviously, I don't have any written anything to support this written for you guys formally, but I'd be happy to ask him for it. But when I spoke to him in person, he showed nothing but support for both the concept and the renovation of the building. We did talk about a fence in the backyard, which is something that is noted on our plans for renovation. So, you know, kids won't be peeking in the backyard to see what's going on there. But I did receive his verbal support and have engaged with him a couple of times. So just wanted to point that out. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, Maurice.
Madam Chair, we have Shannon Leonard. She's going to go over the process that the project has gone through.
Okay.
Shannon?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Shannon Leonard, Chief Zoning Planner, City Planning
Good morning.
Commission. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so this case came before, it went through landmarks for the redevelopment of the former funeral home, and then came through City Planning Commission for the conditional uses of the assembly use, so the entertainment use on the one side of the building, as well as for the off-street parking and the driveway over public sidewalk, in addition to interior side yard of more than 4 feet. Similar to other event spaces and assembly spaces on Lorraine Avenue, City Planning supports the reuse of vacant storefronts and buildings. And so, in addition, actually, this building is immediately adjacent to an apartment building to the east, and we actually had requested them to close the parking, but understand that the applicant would like to keep the 1 or 2 spaces in that parking lot for the other uses, as for deliveries as well as because it is a new use in the area, essentially inviting wedding parties to get suited and entertaining the guests while they're getting suited. It's an interesting business concept that many people that have gotten married in the last few years could probably, you know, ascertain too that, you know, there's not a lot of options, especially as it relates to groomsmen. But again, I would ask the applicant to clarify, because I think it was under our understanding as we supported this, was that he would be renting out some of that entertainment space for wedding guests or wedding parties. And so I don't want to limit his variance options here. I think that's what he was really part of the application as we understood it in city planning. And so I want to make sure that he's getting everything he needs at this hearing. But again, we support the adaptive reuse of the funeral home. We support, we are proposing language to allow assembly space in our local retail districts for spaces that are less than 2,500 square feet. Just because we understand that after COVID, we need to rethink how we're using our vacant storefronts. And this is, you know, in a post-COVID world, this is something that small business owners are looking to do in the city of Cleveland. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, Mr. Cooper, if you just wanted to answer Shannon's question as far as to make sure that we have every use that you want to do in the building recorded.
Yes. So just to clarify her question there, we do plan to host groomsmen parties, and they could potentially rent that portion of space. So if you, for example, if you have a groomsmen party of 8 folks, they would book that half of the space. They would come in together. We would be suiting them each individually one at a time, and they would be able to hang out in that space, watching a ball game, playing pool, and enjoying a cocktail while we get them suited for the duration that takes. So yes, the hope and goal would be to host small gatherings of groomsmen parties or things of that nature.
Okay, yeah, I thought you said that before. All right, thank you. Okay, board, I think we got all the information in front of us. So any questions or comments?
I do have a question.
I have a question.
Okay.
Thank you. So with regard to the parking, the variance that is before us, I see there is an apartment or plans for a future tenant space. So if the appellant can speak to whether there is parking for that or not? And in general, if the appellant can please provide additional testimony about what parking is actually included and how many spaces you are going to actually have.
Yes, you've got Zach Cooper here again. So as you can see on the diagram that's coming up here momentarily, we will have 4 parking spaces within the lot that we've got there. With regards to the apartment unit, myself and my wife actually intend to live in that apartment unit. We are currently downtown residents, but in order to pursue this project for both the building and the business, we are selling our home and moving into this facility so that we can put everything we've got into this project. Within those 4 spaces, there will be one that will be dedicated for the apartment use. The long-term goal for that apartment, one of the arms of this business is actually a nonprofit. I've always been very inspired by what Edwin's has done over there, and I have a goal of creating a nonprofit where we can get veterans suited and prepared for the job world. And I hope to, at some point down the road, be able to actually employ some of these folks myself. And if we are out of the apartment at that time, I would plan to use the apartment unit above there to house some of these veterans while we are getting them back into the working world and kind of, I don't want to call it a rehabilitation program, but a back to work program. And so that's one of the things we hope to build into this business in the future, an opportunity to give back and support the veteran community. I'm a prior service Marine myself, so that's something that's really, really important. But with regards to your question specifically, we will be occupying and living in that apartment, and there will be planned, the design, as you can see here, is planned for 4 parking spaces, one of which will be dedicated for the apartment unit. Please let me know if you have any follow-up questions to that. Thank you.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Madam Chair, I do have a follow-up to parking. I had a similar question as Member Roca, but I fully understand the constraints to the number of spaces you can provide on your property. However, we often are presented with other parking arrangements or agreements. I don't know what's nearby. And so if you could speak, you or Nate from Ohio City, speak to the lack of any parking arrangements or leasing or anything else that's nearby that could help get closer to the 18 off-street spaces based on the overlay district code.
Yes, you've got Zach Cooper here again. As you can see in the image that's shown on the screen now, directly to the west of our parcel, it would be on the right-hand side as we're looking at it in this image. The large structure that you see there, that actually used to be, that entire parcel used to be a parking lot for this facility. So when that was built, obviously it was sectioned off and we were left with this small space, which is pretty tricky in terms of maximizing parking efficiency within the space that we've got. Nate, I'm not sure if you would be willing to speak at all to other parking within the area. I know directly in front of our building on the south side of Lorraine, we have currently got street parking on Lorraine Avenue, and across the street on the north side of Lorraine, there is metered parking available there. But as far as any large lots that are in the direct vicinity that could potentially offset this, there is nothing specifically that I'm aware of at this time, unless other renovations or other plans are in motion that I'm aware of.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Nate Law again from Ohio City Inc. Just wanted to chime in and just kind of restate the context of the, existing building is built in, I believe, the late 1890s. So obviously built before the influence of the car. Understand definitely that, Mr. Cooper is site constrained and this building has been vacant for a very long time. Once those apartments next door were built, it really did, in my opinion, constrain the ability to provide the parking up to code. However, there is street parking on both sides, as Mr. Cooper said, as well as a high-frequency transit line. The 22 runs up and down Lorraine Avenue every 15 minutes, which is also, another way that folks could get to their destination here. Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is Liz.
Go ahead, Liz.
Did the appellant speak to the type of entertainment? Did we hear any comments on that?
What do you mean by entertainment?
He is listed as being entertainment and amusement use. So that is a different classification than a typical what amusement elements will be present.
Yes, this is Zach Cooper. The primary thing that, based on my understanding of this, that has caused the transition to an entertainment space is actually the pool table. As you can see on the diagram that's on your screen now, the center image is the ground floor of this building. And then if you're looking on the left half of the building, you can see that there is a single pool table and a very small stage there. It's my understanding that any building or facility that has a billiards table automatically falls into the category of a place of assembly and or an entertainment venue. With regards to the stage, ideally we would love to be able to host some an acoustic performer or a small performance if a wedding party were to hire that out for, specifically for when they have booked that space. But I don't have any plans for to regularly book music or DJs or anything of that nature. It would more so be based off of a private event that would be booking that space. But the primary thing, based on my understanding, that made this a place of assembly / entertainment venue was actually the involvement of a single billiards table. That alone puts us into that description as based off my understanding.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah, go ahead, Shannon.
So it's not the presence of just the billiards table. It was the application in full of wanting to rent out the space as an event space for wedding parties. In addition, the floor plan does show a stage and the billiards table. So it was the full application that put them in the entertainment amusement use as it relates to the occupancy permit of an assembly use when you start hosting events and small gatherings.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question as well about hours of operation. I had heard that it would be open Tuesday through Sunday, but I'm not sure if we heard exactly what the business hours would be for both the retail use and for the speakeasy. So I'm just curious about business hours for both.
Mr. Cooper, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. would be the general hours, and then it might be some outside of that if you are doing a private fitting or something. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
And the speakeasy then would only be open from 12 to 8, or would there be expanded hours for the speakeasy as well? Because my understanding is that would be open to the public, correct?
So the intent of the speakeasy is actually primarily an overflow space for the suit fitting. So if, for example, the primary entertainment space, as we'll call it, when you're looking at the floor plan, is booked for a groomsmen party, and we're outfitting, 8 different folks and utilizing that space. If other clients come in and are looking to get fitted for a suit or are doing some general shopping or wanted to get fitted, the speakeasy downstairs will act as an overflow area where we could take those folks so that they still get a private upscale experience for their fitting that day. I do hope to, if someone is booking it out, they could potentially book that space in addition to or as an alternative to the primary entertaining space. But at this point in time, I have no intent to operate it with different hours than the shop itself. Pretty much everything, the plan is noon to 8, and then with the opportunity to book specifically around those hours based off of the specific consumer needs. Does that answer the question?
And so it does sound like predominantly clients would be coming and it would be by appointment or with wedding party. It's not so much the public coming and using the bar or drinking on site, if you will.
Yeah, ideally, walk-in traffic obviously will be welcomed, but ideally, I see walk-in traffic primarily as the resident consumer who would be coming in to pick up a golf polo, a sweater, a pair of jeans, a Christmas present, or whatever it is. Whereas for actual, quote unquote event, it would definitely be more so booked ahead, pre-planned, and utilization of those specific spaces for those events. But while an everyday customer, if they come in off, they live a few blocks away and they walk in, we would be happy to offer them a cocktail or a beer while they're shopping. But my intent is not to operate a bar where people are going to come in and hang out for 5 hours and just be consuming alcohol and not be doing other things. Our primary business model here and what we hope and plan for to be the bread and butter of the operational income will be the retail clothing element as kind of the foundation of this business. And the others really are just more so elements that we think will enhance the experience that you get, because a lot of consumers today, they still want to shop in person. They want to try things on, but they don't want to just go shopping. They want an experience. And so that's really what we are trying to create and curate here. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, Shannon, do you want to say something else, or you left your hand up?
No, I forgot to take my hand down. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. All right, before we wrap this up, Mr. Ellison, you had something else you wanted to say? Okay, maybe not. All right, board, any other questions?
Sorry, I do have something else to say. The description of the use of this building kind of contradicts the purpose and intent of the local retail district. By not focusing on walk-in customers, that's kind of the goal of the local retail district, and it's kind of contrary to the business model. What we'll probably see is that people from all around the county will see this as a fashionable and desirable place to come and have a bachelor party where they can get suited up and have fun. And I don't think conceptually I'm opposed to that. It's just that means that there'll be multiple cars coming in here that don't have any place to park except on the street, and with the 2 places on this lot. The other thing is that this fellow, as nice as he is not the owner of the property. The Triban Investment created this hardship, and that by subdividing the land the way they did, when they put that apartment building in, they actually created this hardship on themselves. And that in itself is a reason enough for you to basically be required to deny the variance, because this parking problem is caused by the owner of the property. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for letting me put that in there.
Thank you. Okay, board, any other questions?
I know we've heard all the testimony, but when I look at that aerial, I'm still stuck on just parking arrangements in the area, and the 22 bus or whatever that is not meeting the need for the customers who are coming here. At the bottom right, there are a bunch of cars on that lot. What is that?
I believe that's a used car lot.
Ah,
It
why
is.
there'd be a lot of cars there. Thank you.
I'll just pose one last question, Madam Chair, to appellant. For those customers that are coming to get suited, what are your plans to, where are you telling them to park? What are your instructions going to be for those customers that are going to be visiting your facility, your business?
Yes. So ideally, our preferred way to do this will be by appointment in terms of large party or custom suiting. And if people are scheduling appointments, then the primary function of that parking lot, and I know it's only 4 spaces, but the primary function will be for by appointment reservations within that lot. Additionally, when it comes to groomsmen parties or things like that, we are absolutely going to encourage them to carpool and ride together. I mean, in my mind, if people are having cocktails, even if it's just one or a beer, hopefully they're carpooling, hopefully they've got a designated driver, or maybe they've even hired a driver to bring them and drop them off, whether it's a party bus or whatever else that may be. And that is what we will encourage. When it comes to walk-in traffic, as I said, we hope to definitely be an asset for the community. And for those folks, hopefully they'll be biking or walking or whatever means, pedestrian means they can utilize to get here, or the RTA and walking, or the 22 bus, whatever it may be. I don't anticipate a huge influx of customers who are not either by appointment or residential, because of the way that we are trying to set up this business. And so my hope is that we can make it operate and function efficiently within that model. Does that answer the question, hopefully?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions, board?
I have a question. Ruby Kumar.
That's Ms. Kumar.
Okay, once again, I live on West 38th Street. The very first residential house on that side of the lot where you're at. And we already have a problem with parking. So I am sure the people that come and visit your place is gonna be parked over there too. So sometimes I can't even get in your driveway. I'm gonna call the police many times and they're gonna put up signs, do not block the driveway now. But the sign is not gonna stop people from coming. And this is no room for what you want to do. And by the way, my next door neighbor, Mark, told me he was against you, and he's telling you he's for you. So there you go.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Kumar.
You're welcome.
Ms. Kukla, you had your hand up.
Yes, just for the record, I wanted to let you know that we have received 2 letters of objection or emails from objection from neighbors. One neighbor at 2044 West 38th Street, this being Judith Pestak. She says that she's opposed, and that's on your screen right now. She's opposed to the variance due to parking concerns. And then I also have another email of opposition from Raymond Gachowski or Jakowski. He is also located on West 38th Street at 2056 West 38th Street, and is also opposing due to parking concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, one last pass, board. Any other questions?
Madam Chair, did you see Ms. Leonard's comments in the chat?
Can she share them? I'm sorry.
We did discuss the residential unit because he told us that he was going to be living there with his wife. So that was discussed. All right. Liz, is your hand back up, or you never put it back down?
Never put it back down. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Or if you have no other questions or comments, I will entertain a motion at this point. Anybody all fight? Somebody got to say something.
Somebody has their hand raised, Madam Chair.
That's Mr. Cooper. I think he put it back down from last time.
I'm sorry, I would just like to make one final comment, if possible.
Okay, you guys are killing me. All right.
Sorry. The last comment I wanted to make was just that I know we had the 2 letters of opposition there. I do have several letters of support that I would be happy to submit if you all would like them, both from neighboring businesses in the area as well as some comments from residents who posted on Co-Urbanize. So just wanted to put that out there since we did note the letters of opposition as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And Madam Chair, I do have some of those up on the screen right now. The comments on the right side of the screen are from the Co-Urbanize platform that Ohio City Inc. Forwarded to us. And they are all
Yeah.
supportive.
Maurice, it's nice to have, but I can't read any of it.
Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. How's that?
Better, thank you.
All right. I have asked for a motion.
Madam Chair, Board Member Roca moves to approve calendar number 22-235 with respect to the parking variances requested and the use of an amusement and entertainment venue.
Thank you. And I'll just add friendly amendment that the hours of operation are 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. With with some other private appointments, and those days will be Tuesday through Sunday. All right, can I have a second, please?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Ms. Holzer with the second. Go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Brown?
No.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar number 22-235 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday, and then we will send the appellant a letter.
All right, thank you. All right, good luck, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you all very much. Have a good one.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's it. All right, we got old business 1, 4 through 7, and number 9 without objection.
No objection.
Without objection.
Objection.
All right, thank you. Nothing else here. So we are adjourned for today. Thank you, everyone.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Thanks.